Incredible, man. The busiest man on God's green earth today is Buster Olney. Of course, he normally joins us at 5:15 right here on 104.5 The Team every Thursday, and he was on Sports Center when I looked up. I mean, Buster, I guess that's a pretty good excuse, you know?
Yeah, well, it's been a crazy day. I mean, with all the trades and stuff like that, and I apologize for not being there for you at 5:15, but when we get done that Sports Center hit, I figured to call you guys and see if it would work out.
Hey, man, you're incredible. We think the world of you, and we were very appreciative that you thought of us with so much going on today at Bristol. And, Buster, we have been reflecting over the last 2 hours about what the New York Yankees did and did not do today. In regards, let's first go to the Stephen Drew trade and your reaction for them getting Stephen Drew from the Red Sox. I mean, Buster, if you would have told us the Red Sox and Yankees would make a trade, Stephen Drew was not the one we would have been picking.
No, and I thought, you know what, given how Brian Roberts was playing, that wasn't, it's not a bad gamble, bad roll of the dice for the Yankees because Drew actually started to hit. I mean, we talked before about how he didn't have any spring training, and there was, sort of a great disappointment with how he played at the outset after he joined the Red Sox. But you know what? He's better than Brian Roberts at this point, so they take a roll of the dice with that. They get Martin Prado, who not only I think is going to help them this year at the beginning, I think he's going to play some second base as they work Drew in at that position. Then he'll probably move to right field because he's a really versatile player. And the nice thing is going into next year, Prado could give you some coverage at second base. He can give you some coverage at third base, depending on what's going on with Alex Rodriguez in the outfield. And they added Chase Headley. They added Brandon McCarthy. They did a waiver claim today. Esmail Rogers, and when you look at all told what the Yankees did, they really only gave up one decent prospect for adding these guys in Pete O'Brien, minor league hitter. I actually thought the Yankees, over the course of the trade deadline stuff, did okay.
Now, they did okay. Did they do enough to creep into that second wild card spot or maybe even clinch the East?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go as far as say that, but I think they'll stay in it. Look, I think the Orioles are clearly the team to beat in the division. The addition of Andrew Miller today was a terrific one, especially Buck Showalter, their manager, does such a great job in managing bullpens. I think Toronto is actually starting to put things together. But when you're talking about the competition for one of the wild card spots with the Seattle Mariners, maybe with the Cleveland Indians, I thought the Yankees did okay to help themselves. And you know what? If they're in contention with 2 or 3 weeks to go in a year in which they lost 4/5 of their rotation, that's not too bad.
Buster, aren't the Yankees a team that's also a candidate to pick somebody off the waivers in August? Are the Yankees done at this point?
No, they're definitely a candidate because, as we saw today, taking on Martin Prado, $11 million for next year, $11 million the year after that. I mean, they're always going to be able to take on some money. So I do think they'll look at some guys, and clearly the number one focus for them is going to be if some starting pitcher comes across the waiver wire who might be interesting. I suspect, especially since they're right now in the waiver claim process sitting ahead of the Orioles, that they'll probably be aggressive with that too.
Now, we've read a lot of stuff today that with Lester leaving the AL East, everyone's better. What are the chances Lester comes back to the AL East at some point in the offseason?
I don't think he's going back to the Red Sox. I talked with a friend of his who told me flat out, Lester's not going to return to that team. And now, who knows? I mean, the Yankees, I'm sure, will probably be one of the teams to bid on Lester during the offseason, but we'll see where that goes. Whether it's the Dodgers who place a major bid on him, maybe the Tigers do, even though they added David Price today, maybe the Seattle Mariners, closer to where John grew up. But, we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't think John Lester's going back to the Red Sox, and I think that's part of one of the reasons why they decided to make the trade today that they did.
Buster, we've been getting a lot of negative reaction. I know it's shocking. You're home for New York sports, and New York fans are a little upset today about the Yankees not getting a bigger name. They were connected with guys like Marlon Byrd, Alex Rios, throughout, up till the trade deadline happened. Did you hear anything? Was there anything that almost went down? I mean, how close realistically were they to any other trade today?
Well, they were definitely one of the teams talking about Alex Rios. But here's the thing. I think that not only the Yankees, but other teams backed off of Rios in part because he just hasn't hit for power this year. I think he's got a total of 4 or 5 home runs for the entire season. And Marlon Byrd's an interesting player because on one hand, in a summer in which there's very little power, he's a guy who's going to hit 25, 30 home runs this year. but he also has that unusual vesting option that's into effect not only beyond next season when he's set to make $8 million, but for 2016 for $8 million. But I heard this from a number of teams. People are scared to death of the fact that he essentially was released 2 years ago, got a PED suspension, and now he's putting up big numbers. And there is that concern of, you know what, is there something going on there? And I think that's probably one of the reasons why the Yankees, no other team, overwhelmed the Phillies.
Now, going into today, and then after the deadline, what's the trade that, like, coming in today, you're like, this is going to happen, I'm sure of it, that did not come through by the trade deadline?
I thought the Dodgers would definitely add bullpen help today. That didn't happen. I thought there was an excellent chance the Tigers would get a reliever, a left-hander, and they actually got really close to doing something for Andrew Miller, but that didn't happen. I'm a little bit surprised the Kansas City Royals didn't do something. I'm surprised the San Francisco Giants didn't do something, and I'm completely shocked that the Phillies had 9 players that they could think about moving. Their attendance is down 31%. The team stinks, and yet they make no changes. It makes no sense. And I thought they would start to change the conversation there.
Now, the Boston Red Sox obviously being talked a lot about today here. And, I'm looking at their track record. 2 years ago, they were the worst. Last year, the best. This year, they're closer to the worst. Are they doing enough to next year be in contention once again to be the best?
There's no question that they improved their offense, adding Cespedes. I have my doubts. Alan Craig's a great guy, but I have my doubts about if he's going to be okay because he hasn't been the same type of hitter since he injured his foot last year. And they certainly needed to add more right-handed power to their lineup going forward. But, man, do they have holes in their rotation. And I told you guys all along, I thought they totally blew it by not working out a deal with Lester in spring training. I thought it was the right move today to trade Lester because, as I mentioned to you, I don't think he's going to re-sign there. But now they got to go out and find 2 or 3 guys. And I think that's going to be really difficult for them to do. Overall, when you look at the Red Sox season and where they stand, I really think, the front office made a mistake in evaluating the team going into the year, and then those Lester talks may come back to haunt them for years to come.
The other big pitcher who moved today was David Price. Am I wrong, or did the Rays not get much for their ace?
Yeah, that's what I kind of reacted to. And we should properly frame that by saying that the Rays' history is that they do their best work in trades. And there have been other trades in the past, like when they dealt for Matt Garza, where I heard from teams, I don't know if they got enough. And it turned out they got someone like Chris Archer as a third player in that deal. So we give them the benefit of the doubt, but on its face, I completely agree with you. I don't think they did as well as I expected, especially when you're talking about blowing up an opportunity to win this year. And I do wonder if, this is just a question of numbers where Andrew Friedman, the general manager of the Rays, driving home last night, was looking at the standings and saying, geez, we're 8 games out in the division. We're 5.5 games out in the wild card. Our chances for making the postseason are 9%. And we know that possible return on Price could plummet after today if we keep him. So now's the time to make a move. But I agree with you. When I saw the names, I thought they would do a little bit better.
And the Detroit Tigers and the Oakland A's, with their rotations now, have separated themselves in the AL. Is there any doubt?
I think the Angels are still pretty good, improving their bullpen. I know they didn't make a big splash, for Samardzija for a price, but I think they're, a really good team. But, hey, there's no doubt about it. The 2 best rotations in the American League belong to those 2 teams. It'll be the first time that, Oakland could go into a postseason series where they actually have a rotation advantage. There's always been a depth issue for them. And the Tigers, you guys saw last year in the ALCS, it seemed like every night they had a no-hitter working against the Boston Red Sox. And now you have David Price, and they now have the Cy Young Award winners from the last 3 seasons in the same rotation, plus the guy who won the American League ERA title last year, Anibal Sanchez. That's pretty incredible.
Now, Buster, the other New York team didn't do anything today. Thoughts on the Mets?
I didn't really think, and I think I mentioned this to you last week, I didn't really think they had an opportunity to do much because, they're not going to trade Daniel Murphy because he's really important to their franchise, and if they had traded him, they probably wouldn't have gotten as much as they wanted to. I know there was some thought that maybe they would move Bartolo Colon, but I think the same concerns for other teams are in place about Colon as they are about Marlon Byrd. They got the PED history there, and there's always that concern that you trade for him, He's owed $11 million for next year, and when he's in his time with your team, he suddenly turns into a pumpkin overnight. And I think that's why other teams are scared away.
Buster Olney on 104.5 The Team, and Buster, in the season of 2-20, I have to leave you with Derek Jeter now, as I look at the depth chart, is the third best defensive shortstop on the New York Yankees. And you're the one that's brought it up before on this station. I mean, is there a time where the Yankees might have to say, in order to be competitive, do I have an argument here? Do I have a point here, Buster?
No. Unless you see Stephen Drew suddenly become a 500 hitter. I don't even think it's something to talk about. They've sold so many tickets. This is Derek's swan song. I do think you'll see him, as we have from time to time, taken out for defense. But and maybe he'll get a couple more days off. If they face a tough right-hander, you could play Stephen Drew, for example. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Derek, they'll just ride it out for this year. They're committed to him, and I think they're going to continue to give him the at-bats.
Well, Buster, privately, we tell listeners when they ask us, when they see us about, and I just want to say it publicly and to you, you're the greatest guy. And a lot of times you don't know when people of your stature on television, if they're cool, if they're a good person, if they're nice in person, you're greatness, man. And the fact that you today took the time for us and called us, I just want to let you know that means a lot. We greatly appreciate it. Go get some sleep. We'll talk to you in the near future. And again, thank you very much, Buster Olney.
Sure, guys. And thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Buster.
I mean, if we can just pull the curtain back here, Buster told us last week, guys, I'm going to be spread thin. I have to be on ESPN Radio. I have to be on SportsCenter. I have to be on Baseball Tonight. They have me on Sports Nation. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hit my normal 5:15.
He was burned out last week.
Yes.
And the only other thing that I want to mention is that when your phone rang and you realized it was Buster, you reminded me of me in high school when a hot girl would call. Armen Williams was like, oh my God, it's Buster! It's Buster! Well, Buster called!
How funny is it, though, that because at 5:15, you were the one that said, you were like, off the record when you and I were talking, in commercial breaks, you were going, dude, he's just busy today. It's okay, man. It's all right. He's just busy today. And I kept going, Levack, he's going to come through. And I kept
okay. Hey, you're going to ruin it. Don't ruin it.
You were like, don't kill him with text messages,
you got to play hard to get once in a while.
And I texted him twice, just going, hey, man, just want to let you know we're here. I sent him an email, just a reminder, we're here. The fact that he did that and just called us is remarkable. And I've said this a lot to listeners that we see him on the street, and now that he's hanging up, I wasn't just trying to suck up to him. I want you all to know, the Capital Region listeners, I know that a lot of you, stay in your car when you come home, and a lot of you leave work early. We've gotten all sorts of cool emails about our segment that we do with Buster Olney normally at 5:15. And I just want you to know that I have worked with some of the top companies. I've worked with the NFL very closely. I've worked with CBS. And there are individuals within those entities that are at the top of their profession, like Buster Olney is. And they're kind of tough to deal with sometimes. Mm-hmm. There's egos involved. It's dramatic, Levack. It's a pain. This guy, Buster Olney, is just like you and me. He is a normal person. He is down to earth. He's super nice. There's no reason why he could have, or why he just put everything aside and made time for us today. There's no reason for it, and he did. I mean, I just can't say enough kind things about this guy.
And I'm not going to argue with you. The guy who, has said some cross things about my Jeter and my mantle, and I still love him. That shows you how good he is.